faith. All episodes streaming now on BBC iPlayer.
When the great outdoor calls, we listen. Adventures start with BBC iPlayer.
Do you think you can leave with me tonight?
Excited for the big adventure?
You know what to say if the Mitchells come knocking, don't you?
It's Whitney. She's gone.
Can they escape? EastEnders, this week on BBC One and iPlayer.
Good morning, now on BBC One, Friday morning's breakfast.
Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Charlie State and Naga and Charlie. Ceremony on Saturday. Princes William and Harry will be among those following.
13-year-old in a dark alley.
People can leave their local area and meet up in groups of up to 6 adults.
And good morning from the Lake District.
Be set for an all-Premier League final in the Europa League as both Manchester United and Arsenal reach the last four.
Plus, it's 125 years since the National Trust bought their first property. This one, Alfriston Clergy House in East Sussex. I'll be taking a look around and also bringing the forecast. It's a cold start, but for most, it will be another dry day. Join us for it all here on Breakfast.
I would have had a slice of a caterpillar cake in the past. I would have had a slice of a caterpillar cake.
Do you know if it was Cuthbert or Colin that you sliced it?
Well, it would have been the original, which was the M&S one that I would have had, because it would have been some time ago. But, you know, they sell a lot of those cakes.
I find it a bit odd when you name a cake and then slice into it. Kind of doesn't sit easy with me, to be completely honest. Don't know how Matt feels about it. Matt's got kids. Matt, are you enjoying this intellectual conversation?
You do realise it's not real when you cut into it.
Yeah, but you don't name something that you cut into, do you? It's just weird.
No, very true. To be honest, if it's covered in chocolate, I'll eat it. Doesn't matter where it's from.
Fair point. When it comes to cake, of course. Where are you?
Yeah. I'm in East Sussex this morning, Naga. Very good morning to you all. Now, when you think of National Trust, you often think of big, stately buildings. Not this one. This is Alfriston Clergy House. The significance of this is that it's 125 years ago, in 1896, the National Trust made their first purchase of a property, this one for just £10. The success of its renovation paved the way for the National Trust to go on and own over 500 stately homes, castles, parks and gardens. We'll be taking a look around through the morning and discussing the significance of this very, very property beside me. And it's very cold here this morning. And very cold for many again. A frosty start. Temperatures down to -4 in parts of Yorkshire, -6 in parts of Scotland. If we take a look at the forecast, though, for today, the forecast is one in which, again, for the vast majority, it's going to be a dry day. It is going to be a fairly sunny day of England. The dry weather continues into Sunday for many of you at least. I'll have details on that, and Naga and Charlie got a treat for you when we look at what's just behind this property. Gorgeous views in the next half hour. Back to you both.
Very good. Look forward to that, Matt. Thank you.
Like being shown around like that. It's nice.
So, for many people living in England, this...
Yes, but that's what people say, isn't it? You know, no, any publicity is good publicity.
And
it's got people talking about the company. It's got people talking about...
Clever mocking.
I would say as well, I think in the current climate where things are sometimes taken so seriously and people react to things so venomously, it's quite nice when they're, you know, people...
I agree, you know, a bit different, and it's brought a smile to people's faces. Yeah. And... you know, I'm sure the person perhaps working from home, you know, probably just got a little bit bored, perhaps, and
can you imagine
thought they'd have some fun.
Can you, yeah, we'll have some fun. And can you imagine the meeting about withdraw? Now we're going to take these tweets down and apologise and completely suck the fun out of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
John, thanks. We'll see you later on 6:44. Let's have a look at the weather. Matt is well. We're blessed with some rather beautiful locations at the moment in terms of where our correspondents are.
I was saying this morning it felt not as cold lately, and we've had that real cold spell, haven't we? But Matt did say it's very cold where he is, and it's frosty on the ground as well. Where are you, Matt?
It is indeed. It is very chilly here. Lovely frost then. What a view to start our Friday morning. I'm in East Sussex this morning, and it's not just about the view why I'm here, but it's actually about this property which is behind me, Alfriston Clergy House here in East Sussex. Recent dendrochronology, so that's tree ring testing of the beams inside, dates it back to 1400. Now, this property is important because it is the very first one purchased by the National Trust 125 years ago. One of the founding members, Octavia Hill, spotted it. It used to be a vicarage until 1850s. It fell into disrepair. She saw it and she wrote down that she was moved by the pleading voice of the old building itself to be left to tell its story to the days that are to come. The success, of course, paved the way for the National Trust to go on to take on more than 500 properties, castles, parks and gardens. And I'm really looking forward to hearing a little bit more about the history of this property later. But as you saw, it's frosty on the ground here. It's frosty for many. Let's take a look at the forecast, shall we? Because it is a cold start, but once again, it's going to be a mainly dry day across. And the dry weather, whether you like it or not, will continue for most as we go into next week. And it will feel a bit more warm in the sunshine as well. Temperatures climbing on the week we have just seen. But certainly lovely start to the morning here. I'll leave you with a view. Bernard will show you just the view you're enjoying this morning. And I'll be back in around half an hour's time. Naga, Charlie, back to you both.
Thoroughly enjoyed seeing around there, Matt. And this view is beautiful as well. Look at that. Frosty, beautiful frosty morning. Tips of the reeds just dappled by the sun.
And I don't know, wherever you are across the UK, if we go a little further north, actually just outside the building where we are, in Salford, you get a sense that actually this morning is one of those rather lovely mornings. It's very tranquil and, you know, sunshine, it's beautiful. So, yeah, one of those days. Worth enjoying, isn't it? 6:49 is time now. So, this morning, the Welsh Liberal Democrats will launch its manifesto ahead of...
There you go, live on the banks as restrictions are lifted in Scotland from today. People can leave their local area and meeting groups of up to 6 adults.
Plus, I'm in East Sussex this morning. The house behind me is Alfriston Clergy House. It was National Trust's first purchase 125 years ago. We'll be taking a look around later. And I'll have you forecast. It's a cold start, but for most it's dry. All the details coming up here on Breakfast.
Good morning. It's Friday the 16th of April.
And move to different areas if the beaches and outdoor spaces are busy.
Lorna, thanks very much. It really does look lovely there. Thank you.
13 minutes past 7 on a Friday morning. So let's go to Matt. And this morning, Matt, you are also in a very beautiful location and celebrating. You think about the National Trust. And of course, there was a point at which it started and they started buying properties. We're so used to them now, amazing properties. But you're at the very first one that they bought.
I am indeed, Charlie. Yeah, you often think of stately homes, you think of National Trust, but the property behind me, you can just see it, is a fairly modest property, Alfriston Clergy House. It was purchased by the National Trust 125 years ago in a complete state of disrepair. They put it right, though, and it is in fine fettle now. And it's, okay, fairly modest, but actually it's quite grand for what was a vicarage at the time. And we'll take a look in there in the next half hour and finding a little bit more about its history and significance. But what I can tell you, outside at the moment, it is very chilly. Let's take a look at the forecast because the frost is back again this morning across most parts of the UK. A little bit misty in one or two spots too, but the vast majority dry. Towards the south of the country as we go through into Sunday, with the dry weather continuing at least for the vast majority. I'll have a full forecast though and more details about this gorgeous property in around half an hour's time. Back to you both.
Matt, thank you very much. See you later on.
16 minutes past 7 is the time.
And anyone who knows how Dan Evans plays says he's feisty on court, isn't he? He you know, his emotions are very raw, and he plays. It's an amazing.
He does wears his heart on his sleeve at times, but you know, clay seemingly is you know not his best surface. To go out there and beat the world #1 on clay, brilliant performance from him. Yeah, best win of his career so far.
Excellent. Okay, John, thanks very much.
I think we're going to look outside now and a little further north than where we are now. We go to Scotland. Look at that image this morning. This is Loch Lomond, and isn't that spectacular?
Just tranquility. It's just so lovely to have some tranquility.
Well, now, earlier we were speaking to our correspondent who's there saying some swimmers, brave swimmers, because that water must be seriously cold, are in the water. Can we actually see them there? I'm not
Yeah,
quite
they're in
sure.
the background. They're
Yeah,
moving.
we can see some
They
swimmers.
are moving.
So
Strong
well done
swimmers.
to them. Wow.
So we'll be out there later on with Lorna. Matt is outside as well this morning. He's at the National Trust. And the National Trust has a celebration today, doesn't it, Matt? And you're at the place which I think you could say it kind of all began in some ways.
You certainly can say that, Naga. Indeed, yes, 125 years ago. Very good morning to you, by the way. We're in East Sussex at Alfriston Clergy House, and this was, in fact, the very first property the National Trust purchased, started what you see today, really. And to tell us a little bit more is the operations manager here. It's Holly Jones. Good morning, Holly. Lovely to meet you this morning. Beautiful, quite a modest property, but whilst it's been with the National Trust 125 years, the history goes back way much more.
We know that the house was built between 1399 and 1407, which is quite extraordinary that it's still with us. It was built for the priest of the local church, St Andrew's in Alfriston, and it was a vicarage until around 1850. And then the house, they moved out into a different vicarage, and the house fell into a state of disrepair, really. It wasn't particularly good. Thankfully, at the time, a new vicar moved into St Andrew's Church, Reverend Baining, and this is around the 1890s, and he loved old buildings, and he saw this, even though it was a ruin, or a relic, he saw it and he was just captivated, and he thought, I need to save this building. And he tried to save the building, and in the end he was recommended to contact this new charity that literally just formed in London in 1895.
So what was it that made the National Trust want to get this particular property?
They were interested from the beginning. Octavia Hill, one of the founders of the National Trust, she actually came down to look at the property. And when she was here, she was just blown away by just the atmosphere of the place. And she even wrote in one of her letters of the pleading voice of the old building, wanting to be left to tell its story to the days that are to come, which is beautiful when you think about it. And then now, 125 years later, we're still here protecting and caring and wanting to show this place off to all our visitors.
For a vicarage, we've just been seeing the pictures from inside. It is quite grand.
It is.
Of course, closed at the moment. Yeah. When will visitors be able to return?
Well, the Alfriston Clergy House, along with other National Trust properties, are closed due to COVID restrictions. But from May the 17th, following government guidelines, hopefully then we'll be able to reopen. But I do recommend referring to our website because everything up to date is on that.
Wonderful, fantastic. Thank you very much, Holly. Beautiful, beautiful office, really, for you, isn't it?
I am very lucky.
As we are this morning. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day anyway.
you.
But yeah, beautiful start here in East Sussex. Had the frost on the ground. It has gone. The sun is starting to do its work. But it's still chilly out there across the country. Let's take a look at the forecast for today, shall we? Because whilst it is a chilly start, once again, most places will be dry by this stage, a bit more widely. And they could climb a little bit further into next week. But crucially, the gardeners have had to deal with a lot of cold weather. They're now having to deal with a lot of dry weather. There's not much rain in the forecast for the next week and beyond either. But that's how it's looking from the glorious scenes here in East Sussex. I'll hand you back to Naga and Charlie.
You are spoiling us, Matt, and good tips for the gardeners, but the rain will come back, I'm sure. That pretty much is guaranteed here in the UK.
Matt, thank you very much.
So probably all at once, knowing us.
Well, I didn't hear that. What did he say?
What did you say, Matt? He was talking
the rain will
over
all come
you.
back at once. The rain will come all back at once.
Oh, good.
Okay.
That was worth hearing, wasn't it?
Has he finished now? He's stopped. There we go.
If you're going to say something, I mean, come on, say something.
7:54. So Ben's going to say something now. So a lot of talk, isn't there, Ben, about how things are going to be. Things opening up, shops, people able to go outdoors in the pubs.
Good morning in sport. We could be set for an all-Premier League final.
And we're going to take you to the banks of Loch Lomond as restrictions are lifted in Scotland. From today, people can leave their local area and meet in groups of up to 6 adults.
Plus, I'm in East Sussex at Alfriston Clergy House behind me. It was the first property purchased by the National Trust 125 years ago. We'll be looking into the significance of that, and I'll give you the forecast, which today and through much this weekend includes a lot of dry weather. No surprises there. Full forecast, full details coming up here on Breakfast.
Good morning. It's Friday, the 16th of April. Our top story is that final preparations are being made ahead of the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral. It emerged that a firm he has shares in won a contract with NHS Wales.
Official records show the document shredding company was awarded the contract, which is worth £300,000, last month.
Now, government spokesperson said Mr Hancock had followed the ministerial code and had no role in awarding the contracts. Let's talk now to our political correspondent, Nick Erdley, who joins us from Westminster. Nick.
Probably going to hear about more of this as well, and it fundamentally comes down to that question of whether the rules are strict enough to prevent some potential conflicts of interest.
Good morning to you, Lorna. I mean, I must admit, I've been slightly distracted looking at the image I can see, because we see some people enjoying the great outdoors behind you. A canoe, I think, with somebody swimming in the water.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's been busy already here this morning at Loch Lomond. We've had swimmers, we've had endurance athletes out in swimming costumes, but most of the swimmers, of course, wearing wetsuits because this water is very, very cold.
A full complement of seasonal staff, ranger staff, litter staff, all here to welcome people and guide them on what to do. So, you know, there's plenty to do while you're here, but we ask people to plan ahead, check our website for car park capacity, because irresponsible parking was a big issue for us last year, with people blocking small rural roads, which caused real issues with local people and emergency services.
OK, Gordon, thank you very much for that. So plan ahead, and of course, no big groups. It's still a limit of 6 adults from 6 different households. And as Gordon said, no overnight stays for now.
Lorna, thank you very much.
How lucky are we to be out there, be able to see that today?
I know. I'm so impressed by those. And there was, I think it was someone was just emerging from the water there. You think, oh,
so cold. It's chilly where Matt is this morning as well, but it does look beautiful, Matt. You've still got the sunshine on you, but why are you there?
Oh. It's warming up quite nicely, though, admittedly in the sunshine. Yes, good morning to you. We are in East Sussex. Behind me is Alfriston Clergy House. Now, when you think of the National Trust, you think of big, stately properties. This one, a lot more modest, but it is well over 600 years old, and it's actually the first property purchased by the National Trust 125 years ago. We'll be finding out a little bit more about the significance of that with the curator here in around half an hour's time. But as Naga said, cold start. The sun is out now. It is feeling beautiful. Lovely location to be in. Let's take a look at the forecast for today, shall we, across the UK, because the frost is melting quite quickly. Widespread frost this morning. Most places dry through today, but there have been a few exceptions. We've still got a few showers around 18 or 16 Celsius. And it's England and Wales to see the best of the sunshine too on Sunday, but I'll have a full forecast. And as I said, we'll be looking a bit more around the house in around half an hour's time. Back to Naga and Charlie.
Matt, thanks very much. I know you're going to have a more detailed forecast. We're going to show pictures of Loch Lomond. I know you can't see them, but what kind of temperatures? Oh, sorry, Ambleside in the Lake District. What kind of temperatures can people there expect? We're kind of panning over, looking at Lake Windermere.
You'll probably get up to around 13 or 14 there this afternoon. Actually feeling very pleasant in the sunshine, blue skies, a lovely location to be in when the weather is like this. And you know what? The fine weather will continue really through much of this weekend as well. So if you can, and if you're lucky enough to be there, I'm very envious, but please enjoy.
Oh, Matt, a brilliant job as usual, and it just perfectly accompanied by just absolutely stunning pictures. Why are we there? Well, Sarah Corker is there for us this morning, because lots of people are going to be going over. There's a caravan park in the Lake District which is welcoming customers back on Monday. Sarah, another stunning location for us this morning.
Yes, morning. It really is glorious. The sun's come out for us as well. And welcome to the Lake District holiday makers. They've spent a couple of days here already. The Clark family hiding in the distance here. Good morning. Well, I'm sure a lot of people will be very jealous kind of just hearing about your holiday, because I think a lot of people are getting ready to come back out, aren't they? Enjoy the countryside. And I think the sense really is that lots of us are kind of rediscovering what's on our doorstep and holidaying closer to home this year.
Sarah, thanks very much. Sarah Corker there for us in Ambleside in the Lake District.
Let's just bring you up to date with one story you're hearing this morning.
I hope the person who was behind it, the human being, the funny human being behind that, isn't in trouble.
Brought laughs and smiles to many faces,
Brought
as we
a
know
lot
you
of
could do with
laughs.
the moment. And probably after Arsenal's day yesterday, I think the fans probably enjoyed that more than they did their Europa League win, perhaps.
Well, that's often the case for Spurs fans anyway.
True.
Tortured lot, aren't they?
Yeah.
John,
Yeah,
thanks.
they do have a cup final to come, though.
They do.
They do. In a couple of weeks. So, watch this space.
No,
Thanks, John.
watch these pictures, John. Is what we
Watch
need
that
to
trophy
do.
cabinet.
Watch this. Ambleside. So this is on the banks of Windermere in the Lake District, and our drone is high up in the sky there. We've kind of watched this image change during the morning. It's sort of dark earlier on, just as sunrise, sort of, what was that? It's kind of 6:15, 6:30, and now it's looking so tranquil and beautiful. And I believe we can pick up with Matt now, because that image is pretty much all across the UK, although it might be nippy. Is that right, Matt?
Indeed. So it's warming up though now after that pretty chilly start. But yeah, beautiful views there over the Lake District. We saw them in Loch Lomond earlier, and now here in East Sussex, stunning. We're at I've also have Alfriston. I've just had a moment then. Alfriston Clergy House just behind me. Very significant house for the National Trust. I'm doing a terrible job of it. Someone who will do a much better job is National Trust curator George Roberts. Morning, George.
Good morning.
I think I need a bit of help here. First of all, beautiful house. When we think National Trust, we think big, stately homes. Just tell us the significance of this one.
So this is the first property that was bought and saved by the National Trust. So this is the first building that we conserved, and it's the rescue work that we did here really set a tone for all the rescue work that we continue to do now. So if we hadn't successfully looked after this house and conserved it 125 years ago, then we wouldn't necessarily be looking after all the coastline and those big houses you're thinking of today.
Yeah, so 125 years ago when you bought it, but it has so much more history. It goes back to 1400. How difficult is it to preserve such an old property?
It's not easy. It takes a lot of expertise, both within the trust and also people outside the trust as well. So it's all about using appropriate materials to repair the building, so lime mortars, and it's also maybe how we approach those repairs. So it's also making sure we keep as much of the original fabric as possible, so replacing as little as possible as well when we're doing any work to help look after it. Here obviously we've got a wonderful thatched roof which we have to renew, and it's making sure we get skilled craftspeople in to help us do that.
And how did they set up sort of the National Trust for the future?
It proved the trust could do it. It wasn't an easy process, and the trust had to fundraise for it, and it was relying on its fundraisers and supporters 125 years ago to help pay for the work done there. So its eventual success proved to the trust that they could do this, and it encouraged them to take on more buildings and other sites around the country as well.
Unfortunately, like most of the other properties, everything's closed at the moment. When do you anticipate that the general public can go back inside and start to enjoy?
So yes, as you say, COVID regulations were currently shut. We're hoping from the 17th of May, assuming that things don't change, the public will be able to come and visit again, and we'll love to have them back.
Have you got any more celebrations in mind with 125 years of National Trust?
I don't know. It would be lovely. I don't know, what could we do? We could do all sorts of things. I think it'd be nice to go to the pub, actually. That would probably be a good thing to do at the moment.
I think we could all agree with that, and with weather like this, why not?
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
That's quite all right.
You did a much better job than I did there, George. Best of luck with everything for the coming year. Yeah, certainly a beautiful, beautiful house. Quite modest, but it's quite grand inside, as we've seen through this morning. Let's take a look at the forecast then for today, shall we? Because we've got the sunshine here, starting to feel the warmth of that next week. But as I said, gardeners, not much rain, if any, in the forecast, particularly for parts of England and Wales. Whatever your plans this weekend, enjoy the sunshine, and I'll hand you back now to Naga and Charlie.
Matt, it just looks so beautiful there, and I have noticed something I've observed, and I do have a question. How many layers are you today? Because I've seen gradually the zips move lower and the layers be unveiled. Well, I'm very observant about these things.
Yeah, four layers today. It was a very cold start, but the sun is really starting to work now.
Yeah, it is. As I can see, the unzipping has happened. Matt, enjoy that sunshine, and thank you for just the glorious views.
Enjoy your weekend.
You too.
Let's see, 8:47. So, Ben, what I've got written down here is 2 retail giants, 2 chocolate caterpillars, 1 legal action. How am I doing so far?
With the face, they look terrifying if you get the face wrong.
It's going to be cut up and eaten anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much.
It's making me hungry. 10 to 9.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Thanks,
you never
Ben.
know what you're going to do, do you? Never know. One minute a judge on a cake competition.
Yeah, if anyone's watching, I'm available. Cake judging.
Let's see. So it's 8:52 the time right now. It has been 10 years since we first met the characters of East London's
Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Charlie State and Naga Manchetti.
Our headlines today.
No doubt. Now, we are lots of stuff coming up, including caterpillars, cats, Dulux dogs.
Caterpillar cake, cats possibly with
microchips.
Microchips, and all they can be identified more. So we're live at a rescue centre for cats coming up a little later on.
And also dogs perhaps being centre-backs, which John will explain later on. Headlines coming up.
It's summer week. So we're talking sun, sea, and your time starts now.
Who will shine?
Wowza.
And who will hit the panic button?
I think we need to work faster.
I think there's some absolute smashes there.
Oh, I'm really impressed.
The Great British Sewing Bee continues Wednesday at 9 on BBC One and iPlayer.
Very much.
I think we're going to look outside now, and a little further north than where we are now. We go to Scotland. Look at that image this morning.
What did you say, Matt? He was
I said
talking
the rain will
over you.
come back at once. The rain will come all back at once.
Oh, good.
Okay.
That was worth hearing, wasn't it?
Has he finished now? He's stopped. There we go.
If you're going to say something, I mean, come on, say something.
7:54. So Ben's going to say something now. So a lot of talk, isn't there, Ben, about how things are going to be.
It's family funeral, much smaller than it otherwise would have been. Of course, it will be broadcast. There are lots of equipment that needs to go in and start getting that ready. Just to take you through some of those details, the procession will set off and travel through the grounds of Windsor Castle, as I say, just before 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And I think what's become clear as more details have been released is how much of a stamp the Duke of Edinburgh has put upon his funerals. He, of course, saw active service during the Second World War. So preparations continue today. There was a full military rehearsal yesterday. There'll be a service rehearsal inside the chapel today, and the service itself at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Sarah, thank you very much.
Chicago police.
Been busy already here this morning at Loch Lomond. We've had swimmers, we've had endurance athletes out in swimming costumes, but most of the swimmers, of course, wearing wetsuits because this water is very, very cold. And we've also had canoeists. So I've been chatting to the family out there. They've come from Glasgow. This is the first time they've been out here since last summer, because although Glasgow is very close, these are different council areas. And today is the day when you can travel outside your council area, when this stay local restriction is eased. Well, with me is Gordon Watson, who's
enjoying a socially distanced holiday. This, of course, is self-contained accommodation. We've got caravans, safari tents, glamping pods, and there's a real demand, isn't there, for staycations this year, and that's having a knock-on effect across the wider supply chain.
Oh, fantastic to just be able to get away from kind of local areas and just
explore new areas,
yeah.
And go to the pub afterwards, I think. That's
Absolutely,
main attraction for you.
Carry the coffin to the ceremony, and that will be followed by a procession of senior royals. There'll be a minute's silence across the country at 3 p.m. Travel and weather, and we'll see you in a few minutes.